everybody knows that the mention of Al-Aqsa hits a nerve across the Arab world, across the Muslim world. And the various agents of chaos, like Hamas, know that better than anyone else. So they have a vested interest in trying to bring up the issue of Al-Aqsa as often as possible. And we see that even the friendliest of countries in the region, including the countries signatories of the Abraham Accords, are cornered into, in a way, in a sense, into condemning. Now, you know, it depends. Your question is very simple, but the answer is very simple. It depends on what the background of these relations is, because I will remind you that Israel sometimes has to withstand strong condemnations from allied states like France, like the United Kingdom, even from the United States.
Yes,
it doesn't mean that the relations are harmed. So the question is, can these new relations with these Arab countries withstand this moment of crisis and go back to normal once the crisis has ended?
Countries like Jordan, Egypt have withdrawn their ambassadors in the past from Tel Aviv when events escalated.
That is true, and I hope we won't reach such a position. It's also a question of how the situation on the ground will evolve. If, God forbid, there is an escalation and there is more violence and there are more dead people, then I wouldn't exclude such a move. Although I have to say that in the past year, not just in the Abraham Accord countries, but even the neighboring countries, the traditional peace countries with Israel, Jordan and Egypt, relations have improved compared to what was the situation in the past few years.
Events like this, do they hinder the possibility of further development of relations with countries like Saudi Arabia? I remind you that we were promised at the time by Netanyahu and by Trump that at least 5 more countries, I think, were in negotiations with Israel behind the scenes. From what you're hearing from from people in politics, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is it still in the works, or have things since May deteriorated so much?
No, I don't think things have deteriorated that much, because in general the relations are going well with these countries, with the United Arab Emirates, with Morocco, with Bahrain. But still, I think that the process with countries like Saudi Arabia is much more complex and much more difficult. And clearly, when there is a crisis around the religious dimension of Israel-Palestine, concerning Jerusalem and Al-Aqsa, it is certainly not the right moment for the Saudis to make any kind of move towards Israel. So I would say that you need patience. It's going to happen, but we need patience.
Okay. Ambassador Daniel Shek, thank you very much.